because we've got an actual real. It is real. Furukawa has blessed us with an update on the Nintendo Switch 2 confirming that there will be backwards compatibility and Nintendo Switch Online. Now, if you followed this channel, I've talked about how this is going to be happening for quite some time. I've stated that there will be backwards compatibility, and I was never on board of some of the skepticism that there would not be backwards compatibility. And the reason why is because Nintendo wants to continue selling their best-selling games. They don't want to consistently remake games like people were trying to let you believe that they would. And I also knew that that was going to be backwards compatibility because they already told us that Nintendo accounts will transfer over. So your online account will transfer over. So if your online account transfers over with your games, and they stated that they want to have a long-term relationship with consumers, that automatically pretty much says backwards compatibility. But obviously, some people did not believe that for one reason or another. But now we have an update from Mr. Furukawa. And I'm going to read this article. Shout out to Nintendo Everything for this one. And Nintendo just gave an update on Switch 2 during its corporate management policy briefing. According to President Shuntaro Furukawa, backwards compatibility is planned, meaning you'll be able to play current Switch software on the system. Furthermore, Nintendo Switch Online will be extended to the new platform, which once again makes sense. This is Furukawa. At today's corporate management policy briefing, we announced that Nintendo Switch software will also be playable on the successor to Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch Online will be available on the successor to the Nintendo Switch as well. Further information about the successor to the Nintendo Switch, including its compatibility with Nintendo Switch, will be announced at a later date. So we've got confirmation there. Like I said, I knew that it was probably going to happen, that this was going to be a thing overall. But we did have some skepticism from people about this. Look at the Nintendo graph. And once again, it's however you want to feel about it. But what does this mean for you, the actual gamer, right? Well, a number of different things. So once the Nintendo Switch 2 first launches, if you're someone that doesn't have a standard Nintendo Switch, or maybe whatever the case is, you don't have one, it means that you're going to have an instant library of games to be able to pick from and buy. So if you don't see something on the Nintendo Switch 2, maybe you want to buy it, you don't have the Switch 1 or whatever, finally you have your own money. If you don't see something that you like that's a launch lineup, you can go get Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, you can go get Mario Odyssey, you can go get something else. So that's a good thing. Another thing that's also very important is for people that have already spent thousands of dollars, or if you spent hundreds of dollars or whatever, it all transfers over. One of the most annoying things that you can have with a console generation is when your stuff doesn't transfer over. Nintendo usually is okay with that, but there's been some times where they're not good with that. And we saw that with the Nintendo Wii U to the Switch. It was understandable though, because they completely changed, architecture and formats. I mean, went from optical discs to cartridges. There was no way that we're going to be able to take those Wii U discs and put them in the Nintendo Switch as a hybrid device. So it made sense. But going from the Switch to the Switch 2, where it's probably going to still be cartridges, it's going to still be NVIDIA, the architecture is still going to be somewhat similar, it's just going to be a better chip. I think that it makes complete sense that it would be backwards compatibility that would transfer over. Now, I do see some people in the chat saying, oh, well, now all of a sudden games are going to just start running better. No, that's not what this means. So I'm glad that I have a live audience too, because I see some people saying, oh, well, now Scarlet and Violet will just run good now. No, there is no guarantee just because you play a game backwards compatibility, all of a sudden it runs better and it runs to the way that you're liking. You guys are adapting what maybe Microsoft is doing or what Sony's doing. And here, it could just be standard backwards compatibility. If you took a Wii disc and plop it into a Wii U, the Wii U is significantly stronger than the Wii, but you did not get better frame rates and better graphics and better everything on the Wii U if you played a Wii game. Essentially, it booted into a Wii mode and it just played the games pretty much exactly like they were. There really wasn't any visual differences at all. I don't think there was anything. Same thing goes for like the GameCube to the Wii. If you take a Wii or a GameCube game and you put it into your Wii, it doesn't upgrade things. Even though the Wii wasn't much stronger, that doesn't mean you're going to get a bigger or crazier enhanced experience. So this could be just that straight up backwards compatibility. Same goes for the Nintendo DS to 3DS. It's not like games were upgraded. It pretty much played exactly the same. Now, what we could see with this backwards compatibility, or what we could see with it, is the fact that when you get a game like backwards compatibility, they can release like a patch. There could be a patch that updates it to run better. Now, we don't know the technology of the Nintendo Switch 2 in terms of how it's going to handle backwards compatibility. So there could be some stuff, uncapped frame rates, where it levels it out, it makes it a bit smoother, just forcefully, like it just does that automatically, or there might be some tweaks that they make in order for it to get done. But we don't know exactly how it's going to be handled just yet. There's various ways that backwards compatibility is handled across different systems when it comes to PlayStation 5 for PlayStation 4, and when it comes to the Xbox and how they've handled it over the years, from Xbox, the OG, to Xbox 360, to Xbox One. And they've done software backwards compatibility where really you just download the game. It's not even really like you just download the whole game. So for example, if you take Lost Odyssey on the Xbox 360 and plop that disc 1, because there's 4 discs of that game on 360, into your Xbox One or your Xbox Series, it just downloads the other discs. It's not even running off of that for the most part. It's just like a DRM check. So that is a very different type of backwards compatibility that Nintendo has done, right? So that's very, very different when it comes down to it, because ultimately, if you're running backwards compatibility, if it's actually true, like running off of the system or running off the disc, the game, you would need to have all of those discs in order for that, but they just download it. So it's very different in terms of the software backwards compatibility and all that. So we have to wait and see exactly how Nintendo's going to do it. Now, I would say that if you look at it, Nintendo will probably do what they've done in the past for backwards compatibility. I think that is the easier thing for them to do. I think that they're just going to essentially have it boot into Switch mode, where it just plays the game as is. Now, you will probably be able to download patches for certain games. Certain developers will do that. But I do think that Nintendo will probably re-release some games in some way, shape, or form as well. So they'll release an update or a patch if you have the game, or they'll just re-release the game on the Nintendo Switch 2 and charge whatever they feel like charging. Maybe it'll be cheaper, maybe it won't, just depends. We have to wait and see how Nintendo's game strategy is for Switch 2, MSRP pricing, and all of that. So that's all up in the air at this point. But I still feel that it's very important to make sure that we make that distinction so people don't think automatically this means every single game that had frame rate problems all of a sudden runs better on the Nintendo Switch 2. That is not the case. I don't really understand why this was a thing in the first place. I'll be honest. Like, I don't understand why people thought that there wouldn't be the backwards compatibility, because they did state that they want to have that long-term relationship and like the Nintendo Switch Online. Now, there was an argument that I did see that I thought that was interesting. Silly, but interesting. Because people were saying, oh, Nintendo just wants to resell every single game. That's the reason why that they're not going to do backwards compatibility, because they want to resell every single game like they did with the Switch and the Wii U. And it seems like some people have a mental block that does not allow them to look past the Nintendo Wii U. Like, that the mental block will not allow their brain to go back more than 6 or 7 years. Because even if you go to the Nintendo 3DS, that had backwards compatibility with DS games. Like, they didn't remake every single DS game. Even if you go with the Wii to the Wii U, even if you want to just go to that Wii U system, they had backwards compatibility from Wii to Wii U. If you look at the GameCube, they had backwards compatibility from GameCube to the Wii, or Wii to the GameCube, more like it. So I don't understand why people were trying to sit there and say, oh, they just want to resell everything. No, that's more work. Nintendo does not have the time to sit here and remake every single game that they've ever done for a newer system. Like, that's not something that you want to do. Ideally, like I was stating many times before, what you want to do is just continue selling that game. For example, Nintendo continued to sell Super Smash Bros. For the Wii. Even when the Wii U was out, they were still selling. Smash Bros. Brawl would be in the top 20 and top 30 in game sales in Japan, because you can just play backwards compatibility on your Wii U. People were getting ready for Smash Bros. For Wii U and Nintendo 3DS by buying Brawl on the Wii and playing on their Wii U or whatever, or even just playing on their Wii. So there was no need to re-release Super Smash Bros. When people will just continue buying it. See what I'm saying? Why spend those resources when people will just buy the same thing? Now, don't get me wrong. They might re-release some games with Switch 2 patches or whatever the case is, or re-release a game. PlayStation does the same thing. They have all sorts of different stuff. They will have patches to update games. They will actually re-release games that are already on the system. Horizon Zero Dawn, for example, it got a patch to run better, and it also got a remaster / remake, whatever you want to call it, as well natively on the PlayStation 5. So I can see Nintendo taking a very similar approach to that type of thing, to where they say, hey, look, we might remake some games, we might just release some patches, or we just might not do anything, and you can just play the game on your Switch too. I do feel that overall, like, yeah, there'll be some remakes, there will be some things. The people that were saying that Nintendo's not gonna have backwards compatibility because they want to remake everything and sell again, I think that's kind of silly considering the history that we do have. Even if you look at like the Wii to the GameCube, you know, or GameCube to the Wii, more like it, they re-released some games like with Wiimote controls, right? Like the new Play control. So like Pikmin got re-released. There was like the, what was it, Mario Tennis that got re-released, Donkey Konga. So there were a number of games. So Nintendo will probably pick certain games to re-release with new features or whatever they want to do. But it's not like Nintendo's some type of company that, you know, if they can do backwards compatibility, that they won't do it. They've done it many times before. So I think people just couldn't get over that mental block of having to re-buy Wii U games. But if you look at the sales of the Wii U, you look at just how that system flopped and the architecture and what they moved over to, going from optical discs to cartridges, it didn't make sense to even have backwards compatibility. I don't think it was even possible to get that done unless you did partial with like maybe your Nintendo Online account and trying to do that. But they completely moved things over. They completely abolished what they did with the online accounts for the Wii U and 3DS and made something completely new with Nintendo Switch Online. So, I mean, there really wasn't any room there either overall. So this is definitely a good thing. It's good news that Nintendo has now confirmed backwards compatibility and confirmed Nintendo Switch Online. I talked about this in my recent video, talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 release timing, about Nintendo Switch Online, the playtest, and how they are getting things ready for that. That is like a huge thing at this point, is making sure that the Nintendo Switch Online playtest can support what they want to do with online. That is such a big thing here, guys, because the online was not ready for the Nintendo Switch. Remember, guys, it was not ready. It was supposed to be a paid online, and they had to delay it like a year plus or something like that. I remember there was some controversy that now they're making you pay for Nintendo Switch Online. It's like, oh, you're making me pay for this? It was free for the first year or whatever plus. And they rolled out some of the Super Nintendo games, and people complain about the same stuff that they always complain about. There's not enough this, that, whatever the case is. And that's valid. That's fair. But I think that they don't want to have a repeat of that. Have the Nintendo Switch Online ready. Have your backwards compatibility ready. And it seems more like it that there will be more about the backwards compatibility that they'll talk about at a later time. How will it be handled? Because they did not state exactly how it will be handled. Will it be software-wise where you download? I don't think so. I think it'll be you boot off the cartridge. Will it be something else? Will they have updates to the games? Will it natively just make things better? Will the DLSS and other stuff of the Nintendo Switch 2 update? Like, there's so much more to kind of get into. But now we finally have some type of confirmation about this. And it's good to see, because there were a lot of people out there that doubted Nintendo would do this for some reason. Big content creators and others that doubted that this would happen. And it's good to have that confirmation, at least put to bed some of the fears that people had when it came to the Nintendo Switch 2, based off of like Twitter. And obviously Twitter is crazy and all that. So what do you guys think overall? Those that are watching live, of course, you guys can let me know. We're going to talk about it. And of course, if you're watching on demand, let me know what you think when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2, confirming that there will be backwards compatibility, and of course, Nintendo Switch Online. Hopefully that Nintendo Switch Online is, I think it'll be ready to go right there at launch. I don't think it should be like a problem, but yeah, it's very good to have that as a confirmation now. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification if you have not done so, and of course, stay locked in here, PlayerEssence, for all the latest RPG news, Nintendo Switch 2, all that good stuff. We're going to be covering it as soon as it goes live, as soon as I can. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.